I'm Alan Mills, and I'm a frugal wood turner. I turn in a small space, and I'm here to help other turners realize that you don't need a big shop or big equipment to make nice things. And I operate on a budget. I'm frugal. Today, I've got a little treat. I want to show from start to finish me setting up my shop. This is my shop. It's my porch. And you can see it only takes about 10 or 15 minutes. I live in a mobile home. Almost everything I have is on wheels, so I just wheel it out of my spare bedroom out here to work. Cleanup's easy. I just use a leaf blower, blow everything out in the yard. I've got a burn pile out there. Occasionally I burn it. I don't have much storage. I do all my work out here. So let's get started. This is my Black & Decker workbench table. I love this thing. It's probably my most used piece of shop equipment that I own. Grinding station, sharpening system, and here comes my lathe. I'll have to move the camera in a minute because the sharpening system will go where the camera does. is. My chainsaw. And a couple buckets full of tools. Alright. Just a tip for all you wood turners out there: if you wear a pocket tee while you're turning, it will fill up with chips. But there's a simple solution. Just tape up your pocket. Good to go. Alright, I'm going to kill the camera for a moment. It won't take but a minute to move things around, and we're going to get started on our project. So, today I've got a product I'm going to try. This is about green wood turning. I turn a lot of green wood. I love being able to go start to finish. Unfortunately, you can't put a finish on it, or not much of one when you're done, because it's still green, it's still soaking in, it's got to have time to dry out, and wood's going to move, so it's going to warp, it's going to crack sometimes. So I could have had better lighting. So I have a product I'm going to try, and you'll hear many methods. People soak them in alcohol, dishwashing liquid, microwave, convection ovens, whatever. I have tried the microwave method, and it does work, but it's very time consuming because you've got to cycle it and cycle it and cycle it. But you can go with a small bowl. I've had success going from maybe a 6-inch bowl, 2 inches deep or so, and it takes 6 to 8 hours of cycling it to get it to where it's dry enough to where you can put a finish on it. And of course, it's still going to warp. Okay, there's another method that I've been researching, heard about the last couple of years, and it's silica gel beads. These are basically almost the same thing as cat litter, but the ones that I purchased are reusable. You can put them, once they're full, they change colors. Once they're full of moisture, you can put them in the oven for a couple of hours at 200 degrees, and supposedly it will rejuvenate them so you can reuse them again. Me being a frugal guy, now this stuff was not cheap. I think I paid I got them off Amazon. I got 4 gallons, which is 30 pounds, right about $130, $138, something like that, shipped. Not cheap. And I also bought some turkey brining bags, and I think I got 10 or 15 bags. I'll pull the roll out in a little bit and look at them. These are very thick plastic bags, and my idea is these things will hold 50 pounds wet weight, 75 pounds dry weight, so it gives you an idea how thick the plastic is. And my idea is to use a 5-gallon, turn a bowl green, put the bag in the 5-gallon bucket, put the bowl down in with the silica beads covering all surfaces, and it's got to, basically you need some on the bottom, so it's got to be completely surrounded by these beads for it to work. And I'm tempted about getting the air out of the bag. I've got a little vacuum. I may actually try to suck the air out of the bag before I seal it up, and in the hopes that will keep outside moisture, in the ambient air to get in there. Supposedly, you can take a bowl, freshly cut, green to completely dry, in these beads in 24 to 48 hours. We'll be doing this experiment, and I'll have to come back to it after 24 hours. I'll scale it out on a scale. I have to turn the bowl first, but I'll scale it out on a scale, put it in the beads, and then we'll come back 24 hours and check on the progress and see where it's at. So I'm not going to try to do anything huge today. This is just going to be a little experiment. I've got a small piece of pear here, and I'm going to get it cut up, and we will get to work. I've got a 9-inch or 10-inch pipe hand, whatever it is. I've never measured it. This works well on my small 12-inch lathe, and a piece of chalk. And I'm basically just going to, oh yeah, this is going to be a good size here. The pipe hand is actually a little bit bigger. I just need to chip away corner here, corner here, yeah, right about like that, and over here we'll do the same thing, and over here. Now let me knock those corners off. Let me get my chainsaw fired up. We'll knock them corners off, and I realize my camera isn't the greatest, and the angles and stuff aren't the greatest, but I'm getting there. I'm a frugal guy, remember, and I'm getting there, and we will get better as we go. Warm up just a minute. Got a cheap chainsaw too. These are only about $100 or so. It does what I need to do. Alright, we'll get back up on the porch and get set up, we'll get going. Now I normally just eyeball things. I've been doing this long enough I get close enough for me, but today we will attempt to mark the center. And I'll just draw a series of lines to give me an eyeball. Trying to pick out the widest points. So roughly somewhere right in there. So we'll just put a little mark here. Get that roughly in the center. And we'll get to work. Attach the faceplate. Well, that looks way off to me, to be honest with you. Maybe not. Alright, we'll go with it. Now, one thing, I don't know whether it helps or not, just a tip I read somewhere. I try not to have the grain is running this direction, and I try not to have two screws in the same grain direction. Whether it could actually cause it to split there or not, I don't know. It's just kind of one of them OCD things I've kind of gotten a habit of. So just turn it a little bit. Got off a little bit. We'll just bump it around. Maybe. Probably not the best use of my drill. Crap. Okay, right about there. Okay. And do a double check, inspect it to make sure your face plate is down flat. Tighten that just a little more there. Yeah. Looks good. And now we'll get it mounted up. Yeah, I got a pretty high spot here. It's going to take a little bit to get that knocked off. Alright. I always tighten my little grub screws. It keeps the faceplate from getting too tight to the spindle, making it hard to remove. A lot of people use little washers, but I'm frugal. Eventually I'll make some or come up with some. Alright. Making sure everything's turned down. I'm going to give it a little spin and see how balanced it is. Not too bad. Not too bad. And you can spin it. And if it keeps coming up with the heavy side down all the time, you know how bad it is. It's not too bad. But I knew this part was my heavy bit going into it. I could whack it down some more, but we'll just turn it away. Face shield, as always. I don't think we need this. It's on there pretty good, and it's a small bowl. Well, you know what? just to be sure. Let me grab a center and put it on there. A big drawback with this little lathe, to me, it was a fail on their part. Not really a fail, but there's very little quill travel. If it just had about 2 more inches, it would be great. So, it gives me a little bit of leeway there, because that'll drive into the bark. Give it a spin, make sure everything clears. Aha, it does not. So that'll take a minute to get rid of that. This is a 5/8 bowl gouge. It's a Hurricane, and as long as you know what you're getting, it's all right. I just got it last week, and I barely got the grind established on it. We'll give it a little spin and see what it does. All right. I realize it's hard to hear me when I got my face shield down. I need to connect the mic, but it is what it is. Let's get after it. Alright, I had a camera failure with my phone. I had it up high and on an angle where we could see really good, zoomed in, and there's just too much vibration at this point. It kept vibrating off the table I've got it on. Actually, it's on top of my smoker, my barbecue smoker. So, here we go. Once we get it smoothed down, I'll be able to set the other camera up again. We're going to take us a little bit of time and get it knocked off. That's so much fun when you start getting those steady ribbons of green wood off. I got a big dip in there right there. It's all wet to come off. Well, maybe not, but we'll see how it goes. Most of the time I have the patience of Job, but I occasionally I'm impatient about getting down to where it's turning smooth and round, and it just goes much faster. The faster you can turn it up. I don't have a pure idea of mine what it's going to look like at the end result. I'm just kind of winging it. As wood comes off, it kind of shapes itself. The wood whispers to me. Oh yeah, we got her going now. Yes, sir. Start thinking about the bottom. I'm not sure what happened at this point. Right after I finished turning the outside of it, I did decide to go to the recess, by the way. The footage didn't come out for the next segment, so we'll jump in where I turned it around and started hollowing it out at. Okay, so this bowl is about 7 inches wide at the rim. We'll take this sharp edge off of it, and not quite 3.5 deep in its current state. When you rough turn something and you intend to do it a second turning on it, which is our goal, roughly 10% thickness. So we want about 3/4 of an inch thick. Right about there. The entire bowl. Yep. It would have helped if I had a pencil in my hand to start with. So about 3/4 of an inch, roughly. That's how thick we'll make our rim. And we're going back to Doug Thompson. I've got about a 50-degree grind on this one, a 40-degree on that one. Don't get too hung up on the grinds. It's what you get used to. Although a steeper grind will allow you to get deeper down into the bottom of the bowl. You can get a good finish off of any grind. So don't get too hung up on the angles. Most gouges you buy, like the Hurricanes and Savannahs and Benjamin's Best, which I suspect they all come from the same factory in China, most of them come with a 45-degree grind. And just over time I've refined mine a little bit. This comes from Doug Thompson with a 55-degree, and I don't know, I had issues with it. I thought it was a little bit too aggressive for how I turn, and it's all about personal preference. So I've gradually, over time, to keep from eating up too much steel all at once, I've gradually over time changed it to about a 50-degree, 50 to 51, somewhere right around there, and it seems a lot tamer for me. But anyway, let's get back to it. Crank it up. We're about 2 inches deep. A little more. Like I said, we're going to try to leave 10% all the way around, even on the bottom. Let me we'll try it with this one again, just to see how it does. I had a buddy heat that up and bend it for me with his torch. I like it. It helps me out. See how much further I got to take the handle over with this 40-degree grind? Round it a little bit. Okay, now this wood isn't completely green. It has dried somewhat. The tree was taken down quite some time ago. But it is still wet. And we're about to move on to phase 2 of this experiment. Okay, so this is what I'm excited about today. This is what the experiment's all about. This is our little bowl we turned. It's still wet. Okay. Damp. It's not. The tree's been down for a little while, but it's still wet. Wet enough to just go warp and all that. Okay. We're going to be trying out a product today called Dry and Dry. Hopefully you can see that. And I've been watching this for a couple years, and several folks have talked about it, and one guy even has his brand name that he does. And it's supposed to be a dry bowl from green to dry, 24 to 48 hours. So I've got some heavy duty. These are turkey brining bags, and they fit a 5-gallon bucket. And they're supposed to be able to handle 50 pounds of wet weight or 75 pounds of dry. We're going to line our bucket with it. Now, none of this was due to me. I purchased every bit of it. Now, I'm a frugal guy. This stuff is not cheap. But what sold me on it is the fact that it's reusable. Now, if any of y'all try this, decide to try it, I'll leave a link for it down in the description. Basically, the more you buy, the cheaper it gets. But it is not cheap by any stretch of imagination. I just can't see picking up 50 pounds of turkey up with 50 pounds of liquid in there, and that bag still be sealed, but I'm assuming that means it's airtight. So, I have my little scale here, and we're going to weigh this. Uh-oh. It's over a pound. My scale won't handle that. That scale was for other reasons. It's very accurate, but it's to hundredths of decimal. You know, basically 2 decimal points. So that's not going to work. I do have my moisture meter. And folks, don't get wrapped up in, I gotta have this too, I gotta have this too. That's a big old rabbit hole you'll fall down. And I bought things that are still brand new in the package that are back in my workroom where I store my things that I have not opened yet. So buy what you need, preferably the best that you can get at the time. But I've used this like 3 times. I've had it for a couple years now. So I don't know if I'll be able to capture this on the camera or not. Trust me, I won't lie. Okay, it says 40.5%. Okay. And 40.5% on the inside. Now that's just a reference number. I don't know how accurate this thing is. I think I paid about $15 or $18 for it. And let's get to it. Now you're supposed to have these beads all around, surrounding every surface area of your thingy, your bowl, or whatever you're going to dry. They're orange, and they change color. I think pink or blue or something when they change color when they're full, and you can rejuvenate them by putting them in the oven at 200 degrees for a couple of hours. I've got 4 gallons of this stuff here, 30 pounds. Okay. Quite honestly, I thought a milk jug looked bigger than this. This looks smaller than a gallon to me, but I guess it is. Okay. Guess I can pick the camera up here and give you a view of it. If I can hold it still long enough. Okay. And now we'll put our bowl in. And that's probably 3 to 4 inches deep in there. So I'll mash it down just a little bit. And now we're going to open another one. I don't know if I'm going to need all 4 of them or not. And in 24 hours, we're going to check this. I guess I need to invest in a kitchen scale. They don't cost that much. I use that one for measuring out smaller things. I thought it would work for this. I knew it only went to a 1 pound though, but this bowl is over a pound. But maybe, after it dries, it will be less than a pound. You know what? 2 gallons is going to do it. You'll never go back in there. Alright. 2 down. Just set it. Alright. And now we will seal this up as best I can. I'll squeeze as much air out as I can. This might work better if I set it down. I know you can't see at the moment. I'm just trying to, excuse me, kind of squeeze the air out of it so that the ambient moisture content hopefully won't influence what's going on. Okay, so I've wound it up, and I guess I'll just put a zip tie around it. Hopefully that'll seal it up, make it airtight. And there you go. %40.5%. Remember that. That's a mental note to myself. All right. Hey, good day. How are you? Welcome to AM Woodturning. My name is Alan Malice. In a previous video, I was exploring different drying methods. Particularly, I was experimenting with silica gel beads. Today, it's 24 hours later, roughly, and we're going to check to see where this is at. Unfortunately, the scale I had only goes up to 1 pound. It's a very accurate little scale, but the bowl was heavier than 1 pound. So all I have to depend on is my moisture meter. And yesterday it was at 40.5%. And today we're going to open it up and see what it looks like now. This is supposed to work pretty quick. From my research, I learned it was supposed to take 24 to 48 hours, certainly for no longer than 4 or 5 days. Well, I can definitely see the beads changing color. And I can see a little bit of work going on before I even do anything else. Right now it's showing 17.5. And it was identical on the inside when I checked it yesterday. I'm going to try to stab it in the same place. And then we'll pick out a new spot to stab it. 24.0 on the inside. And we'll put that in a new spot down here. 16, 15. 15.0. That's pretty impressive to come down from 40.5. It's dropped 30% in 24 hours. So, at this pace, I would assume that it's true that within 48 hours time, it's a perfectly dry bowl. You have to make sure it's surrounded on all sides. And ooh, I can feel the moisture from that. Let me take a picture of the color change. You can see the blue beads are mixed in with the orange ones. That's pretty amazing, actually. I forgot I had tried something else recently. This is something you hear talked about now and then. I turned this about 3 weeks ago, and it sat around for a week in the house, and it was still so wet. And I put a wrap of freezer paper on it, and kind of haphazardly, you see I didn't bother making sure it was tight or anything. And this bowl has really slowed down as far as drying. Matter of fact, I see some mold developing. Let's check it. And that's still very damp around the rim. %. 18% on the bottom. Let's just check the side for the heck of it. 39%. You know what? I'm tempted to throw this in there with it. I think I can get it all covered. I had to turn the bowl, and I did it on camera yesterday. So it's a fairly long video. What I'm going to do is chop the end part off. And for just those who are interested in an experimental drying method, it'll be a much shorter video that they can watch. Trying to get the air out of it. The air contains moisture also. I may attempt to use a vacuum next time. There. That was interesting how it came down 30% in 24 hours. That bowl should be dry tomorrow. I may have found my new method. I misspoke yesterday on the other video. I said I paid about $138 or so shipping. I bought 4 gallons of dry and dry beads. They're color indicating, which means they change from orange to blue when they're loaded up with moisture. When sometime after they get full and they won't absorb anymore, you can put them in the oven on a baking sheet, spread them out on a baking sheet at